the work that means something to me has already been done by other people. It's not, I'm not making, I'm never going to be like, you know what I want to do tonight? I want to watch my films. You know what I mean? Like,
Do you want to hit play on this thing that you
not
sent?
yet. Okay.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'm going to tell you about this clip first.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to tell you a thing, and then I'm going to tell you a story afterwards. But first we're going to watch this clip. And just to set it up, this is pin screen animation. And so what that means is, you know, those little things that you used to buy at like Spencer's Gifts or whatever. It's like a little like box that has a bunch of pins in it. You put your hand in, and it leaves a print of your hand in there. If you're a little kid, you put your face in there, and you back away, and your face is in this thing.
Yeah.
So imagine one that is the size of like a wall, and the pins are way smaller, right? And then they're lit from either side. So what you're seeing isn't the pins. You're seeing the pins are casting shadows on the wall.
Okay.
And the idea is that the artist that developed this, so I'm going to butcher names just because that's what I do. I don't know. And also I'm going to say a bunch of history like it's facts, and it's a lot of it is just stories that I've heard. So they may or may not be true, but they're,
you know what I was actually thinking of this before just one real quick.
Yeah.
I was thinking your mind is, in terms of like a history lesson, is sort of like, at first, like this morning I was thinking, I was like, it's kind of like a repository, but then I was like, repository is not really it. It's more like a bit of a wasteland of like, and there's like seagulls, you know, it's like,
yeah, picking at it. Yeah.
and then someday, like as things settle and like, you know, rot, you know,
yeah,
someone will come through with some nice soil and
dig
like,
and maybe find some things.
Golf course or,
yeah,
you know, just
yeah. I think it's a hoarder. It's a hoarder's nest. Like every part of my life, it's a hoarder's nest. But like,
okay.
I want to go on record as just saying I'm not a historian, and that the truth or factual nature of the stories that I tell is not important to how much they mean to me. So like, so I could be wrong, and I butcher names because I don't hear someone say the name. I just read it off of the thing. So
right.
Alexandre Alexeieff, I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce his name, but that's how I pronounce his name, not being from Russia and reading that off of a paper. And I think Kay Parker is his partner. And there's a lot of these in animation history where because the world has been so male dominated, there's a lot of like husband and wife teams, or like male and female partner teams, where the female gets very little credit in the partnership. And this is one of those where his name got associated with everything, but she's definitely like an integral part of this thing. So they develop a pin screen. It's a wall with a bunch of pins going through it, lights on either side that create a cross hatching. And the thing that they're after is he was a metal etching artist, like an illustrator. And he and this is in the dawn of animation, early part of the 20th century. And so it was like everyone's looking like, what can I do with this art form? And when he looks at it, he's like, could I bring my etchings to life? And so that's how he imagines to do it, is through this, what is arguably, if not it's on the top 10 hits list of most labor intensive animation forms. Like,
what a thing to start us out with. You know, the purpose of this podcast is about the like ruthless pursuit, the like, you know, we're going to do the hardest thing possible in order to tell a story. Right.
Yeah.
And then like for some ungodly reason, the people that do this art form are not at all daunted by that, so that they wake up the next day and want to do it again. Like how how does that even work, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can't imagine having a wall of pins and the process of moving something along that, and then even like how the likelihood of like a mistake where like either some idiot comes by and like pushes all the
Yeah.
pins, or I can, is it like on the walls on like a swivel so the pins can all fall back, or
No,
okay.
they get pushed. They're pretty solidly in there so that there is a level of control.
Okay.
And the idea is that the further the pins come out, the longer the lines of the crosshatch go, so the darker things get. And the further they get pushed in, the shadows don't exist anymore and it becomes white paper. So that's like the easiest way to understand what they're doing. But there's a great, they have a Criterion collection. I think it's Criterion collection of their work. And there's a great kind of behind the scenes of watching them work that just shows how arduous their process is. But also, to your point, I don't think it wasn't torture to them because you do it. You wouldn't do it if it was torture, you know? So I think that's
Right.
the crazy thing with animation is that, like, if you're tortured by it, then you're not meant for this and you should go do something else. Like if it's not joy, you know, like I always go back to this, Nick Park quote. Again, going to misquote a guy, gonna get the history all wrong, but somebody, just to paraphrase the whole thing, you know, someone was asked Nick Park, like, how much animation do you get in a day? And let's say he said, oh, you get like 2 seconds. And I don't know if it was 2 seconds, but just to say, oh, you get like 2 seconds. And then that person was like, oh, all day for 2 seconds. And Nick Park's reaction was like, yeah, but what a 2 seconds. Like, and I think that's the thing is, like, if you're doing the thing, it's worth it, you know, because I can say for me in animation, it's something didn't exist and now it does. And that's like the ultimate, like, you know, like little kid playing God, you know. I think it just is like, I brought this thing to life, and it was nothing, and it was like totally nothing. And I've always kind of like, that's why I've always struggled with people that are like, oh, is animation right for this? And I'm like, you can make animation, you're making it, like, you make it from nothing. So how could it not, you can make it right for that. Like, how could it not be, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
anyway, we're getting off topic. So just, that's the context. This is, and when you watch this thing, you imagine that this is just frame by frame, moving those pins in and out. There's no way to track this stuff. This is like, there's no video or anything at this time. This is just a film camera and, from a gut feeling, watching the change over this image and knowing that's the amount of change that you want to happen on each frame.
Okay.
Like,
so that by the time they're done with this, they're just hoping that it works out.
yes, 100%, 100%, 100%. So, and also, like, I want you, when you watch this too, sorry, this is so much, I'm going heavy right from the beginning, but like, I want you to imagine that, like, the level of dimension that you're going to see in this thing is like unheard of. There's no computer animation yet. Obviously, there's no, they're not using like, reference footage to see how things move in space. This is really like everything's happening in someone's mind. They're working on this board and they're deciphering, like, how would this move? And to me, the most impressive thing in this, of this from a technique standpoint, is just like the ability to make something feel like it's fully dimensional and then turn it in space is like Renaissance art level in animation. Wow. And you'll see just from the texture of stuff how old this is and how non-technological this was. So,
and so just real quick though, so the clip that we're about to watch is almost 3 minutes long. Do you have any idea how long it might have taken them to create something that's 3 minutes long?
I do. So I'm gonna let you watch this, and I have a whole story to tell you. But but I will say this is a 3-minute excerpt. This piece is about 8 minutes long, I think. The full thing.
Right.
All right. Now you can hit play.
Okay.
I mean, like
So
every
this
frame
whole,
looks like a painting.
yeah, this whole thing
Look
is,
at that kid's face.
this whole thing is pins.
Yeah. That guy floating around.
That's insane. Oh my God, no. Wow. Whoa. And now they're having to turn it that many times because they don't have a thing that can, like, okay, we only need to loop the windmill once, right?
Right. They've got no they've got no, like, they can't go backwards and forwards and look at this stuff. They're just
Wow. No dragon frame.
very linear. Yeah.
Wow.
And just visually also, like, there's the look of any one of these frames is so kind of haunting. And
yeah, I was gonna say, I bet this would be incredible on the big screen too.
yeah, which is definitely like something to keep in mind, especially with early animation, was that, like, the world was still reacting to the idea that, like, this was the size of a building when you watch it. You know, like, everything's, you know what I mean? Like, everything's, like, so much of animation came out of vaudeville, and this is just ridiculous. But, like, so part of this, part of the experience of all this stuff of early animation is definitely, like, the fact that you watched it giant.
Like in a theater somewhere, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was the only way to watch it. There's no TV or anything. That's all you get.
That is something.
So now you gotta watch the whole thing.
Wow.
All right. So first of all, before I dive into my stupid story, first impressions. I just want to hear.
Oh, my first impression. My first impression is, I think, just disbelief. Honestly, is like, just no way. No one in their right mind would, like. I don't know. I don't want to say no one in their right mind would do it, because there's all sorts of, like, really intense artists out there that do all sorts of crazy things, like draw entire cityscapes from memory. You know, it's like that kind of art form exists only within, like, a select few, where they very, very much know what they were put on this planet to do.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are definitely, like, they fall into that category.
Yeah.
It just seems so painstaking. And I would also imagine, if they're a husband and wife team, there are probably quite a few arguments that happened in between those frames.
Right. And the talent is daunting, right? Like, it's like, you look at something like that and you're like, this isn't the, like, 500th person to try this. And, and, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this person did it, and now they're like this. This is like one of the only person that invented this, or the people that invented this, some of the only people to ever do it, and no one's done it better than they did. People have done some different things with pin screen, and they're interesting and stuff, but no one has done anything.
These people are the masters.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, the first time I saw that, I was really, you know, like any really incredible creative thing, it made me feel like giving up, you know, like, why bother? Because I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna do that, right?
But I think within that, though, lies a space where you could still become, like, incredibly inspired by something like that.
Inevitably, I think. Like, because I think at the end of the day, if you do creative stuff, you always you always come back and do it. You know, you always get up, peel yourself up off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do, it's those things that really struck you that like are the inspiration that stays with you, that like seems timeless and doesn't seem like a trend that you're following or just like, oh, this is really cool. Like,
Right.
it's something like you hold certain things, I think, that you aspire to that keep you going, like someday I'll do that and then I'll never have to do anything again because I'll do something that good, you know?
Yeah. But I can imagine like that. So he was an artist first, right? He was engraving. It's not like these two people met and they were like sitting around having beers.
What
and
should we do?
Wouldn't it
Yeah.
be crazy if, you know, and then they were trying to figure it out from there. It's like when he started out, and maybe you could also like expand a little bit on what her role is, or her role was in doing this, because I have a feeling though that like it's not like they were like, all right, our first one was sick, like let's keep doing it. You know, they're probably very much like they tested a thing and they were like, oh well, what if we did this, or what if we added this, and then, you know, now we have a fucking windmill that's like spinning around
Right.
with windmill parts, and then it's hands, and then it's windmill, and they're just like kind of getting more and more elaborate as they're experimenting with this thing. That's, in my mind, that's the story that I'm telling myself. But
I think that's probably true. I mean, I don't totally know, but I would imagine also like when they did those tests, they knew they had something incredible and worth doing. Like it wasn't like they spent years doing this just because maybe it's going to be okay. I think they probably did tests, and then they, to your point, they projected those tests and then were like, oh my God, this is unlike anything I've ever seen. And then that pushes you to the next whatever, right? Like,
yeah,
so it wasn't done in a vacuum. And I think that I could totally be wrong, but I think that she was very much like the technical partner. So I think she worked the camera. I think she helped. I think maybe he would like because it's a giant screen. I imagine him being like, can you bring up some of the ones on the left side? And like, I imagine them like collaborating that way. I don't know in the like conceptual, like, okay, here we're going to have a windmill, here we're going to have a giant witch. Like, I don't know how much of that is partnered between them, but yeah. So, okay. So,
but then wait, before you tell us how damn long that took. What year, do you know the year that was made?
I can't remember. I think the 20s.
The 20s.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe
so
the
that
30s.
thing's officially like 100 years old.
Yeah. Old.
Just insane.
Like it predated Fantasia. I know that because Fantasia, they did Night on Ball Mountain and he had already done his before that. So, all right. So, this is a story that I was told in an animation history class by a guy I want to believe, but I love this story and I carry this story in my mind because it's very easy to like lose hope or feel like, why am I doing this thing that no one even wants to watch anyway, and so much work and so much effort, so much money and so much time and blah blah blah. So that piece, Night on Ball Mountain, I believe took not say all told, but to do 8 minutes of animation, I think was a 2-year process, like full time every day. And I think so. He starts, and because the way that animation works is like, you're just shooting at a frame at a time. You're not getting the film developed as you go, especially not back then, because because it was a new and very expensive process. You lose a lot when you like load and unload at that point, and we're talking about seconds. So it was really like, and you can even see in that how much of it kind of blends to the next part of it, blah blah blah. So he's working on this for a year, and gets the first half done, and then sends it off to the lab. And film, especially early film, is highly volatile, chemically highly volatile. So before it's even processed, it burns in a fire. So his whole year of doing this process burned in a fire, never got to see one image from it. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like, oh, my negative burned, but I still have my work print, or I got to videotape it. Like I never got to see what I made.
I dropped a hard drive, but I have the backup right here.
Exactly.
God damn, that makes my heart like ache.
It's brutal. Yeah, it's like it makes my stomach churn thinking about it. And then I guess he went into like a deep depression after that.
Yeah, as you would.
Yeah. And then he picked it back up again and reshot it, and then reshot the second half and made this film. And I feel like it's the it's like the reminder, like, to me, like, don't be a baby. This guy, you know what I mean? Like this guy's whole he put everything into this thing, and it's you know, when people say enjoy the process of things, which I'm a firm believer in, but I think you may still need to see the product to a point, or the result of the process, to enjoy the process. I don't think anybody's animating and they never see their shot. They just like touching a puppet, or they like just drawing a drawing that's almost the same as the last drawing but slightly different. Like, I think the reason that the part of the process that you love is the excitement about getting to the present at the end of the thing. So the idea that, like, this person just put in so much and then never got to see it, and climbed back onto the saddle, and that even like what if it happens again? Like, there's no guarantees. Like, there's nothing you can do to be like, this is never going to happen again. You're just like, all right, let's just roll the dice again.
Yeah. So I have like two things to say to what you're saying, and that's like, the first one being that I'm realizing, so when you give the talk at the Film 3 Festival about like creating small, creating something like for you, don't create with the goal in mind of it being like, okay, how do I make a thing go viral? You know, how do I, if you're creating with that as the end point, like, it's probably just gonna be like a living hell, honestly. I mean, and I have created like that before in the past, and it is a living hell.
Yeah.
So this sort of reinforces to me like the art of going small. Like, these people, like you said, if it made them miserable, they wouldn't do it. So this is something that they really enjoyed doing, obviously, even though everything got burned up and ruined.
Right.
They, went back at it again, which is like, which really is a testament to, like, you have to really love what you're doing, and you have to do it for yourself first. It's cool if other people are wowed by it, but man, I also think the other side of it is, like, as artists, that we're like the worst possible like audience for our own stuff, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
We drag ourselves through the mud. I know.
Yeah.
Nothing I ever make is ever like worth submitting anywhere or anything. Like, that's how I feel. and I have to have other people around me say, no, this is good. You should do this, you know?
And there's a certain, this is a reminder that I have, because I'm in that same boat, and I remind myself of this all the time, that not only are you not the audience for your own work, but the things, it's probably at least some of the things that you feel the most judgy of or exposed by, that are the things that will mean that someone else will attach to, because those are like the personal things, you know.
Yeah.
Like when you look at a sketch that you've done, and like the things that you feel like, this just looks, it looks like, I feel like a lot of times what you're reacting to is, it looks like I drew it, instead of it looks like my hero drew it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no one your hero is already there. It's pointless. So all the things that you're happy that you aligned with, you know, matching a thing that's in your head, are maybe less meaningful than the things where you're a little bit more like, that looks like mine. People are really, if they do connect and engage with your work, they're the most excited about the things that are like, this looks not like anything that anybody else did. This looks like specific to this artist, or this sounds like to this artist, or this feels like to this artist. Like, and I tell myself that a lot of times, to like let myself off the hook of that kind of self-criticism, where you're like, because I'm not as, I think the reason I got into animation and filmmaking is because I want to do all these things, and I'm not as good at any of them as people that are super good at them. But this is where all those things kind of come together, and hopefully getting to kind of mix them all up into a ball, I offer something that is, has some value to somebody else, but it's not going to have the value to me, right? Like the work that means something to me has already been done by other people. It's not, I'm not making, I'm never going to be like, you know what I want to do tonight? I want to watch my films. You know what I mean? Like, and I think if you do, maybe there's something wrong. If you're like,
That's so true. I couldn't, like, I think I'd rather go to the dentist.
yeah,
than watch my own stuff.
yeah. Like, I just want to watch it again. Oh, that thing that I did. Oh, I just want to watch that again. Like,
Yeah. You know what? Can we back that one up? I know we just watched it, but let's watch it. Yeah. Oh man, that's so true. It's God, that was funny. That's so true. And matter of fact, like, you know, the process episode that I did on Booty Brown is a testament to that. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because I felt like I had this man's whole entire career.
mm-hmm.
Like, this person is credited with like the feel and the style of West Coast hip hop, like credited as that by Snoop Dogg, and I had his entire life's work in my hands to like sculpt, you know, and I was like, I'm like, the whole entire trip through that editing process was like, I shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
I'm
right.
not the kind, you know, I'm not the editor for this. Like, I should look for somebody else. All the things, man. Like, oh, I'm not even like qualified, you know, but like ACE, like, like I felt like I needed to be qualified, and I had to keep telling myself, no, he said yes to you.
Yep.
You know, he said yes to you to tell this story, and he gave you all, like, he gave you his life story to go and make something with. And like, I remember the first time I sent it to him, I was terrified of like what he would send back. And I was like, I was ready to start shopping for coffins. I was
yeah.
I had it like pulled up. I hit send, and then I was like scrolling, like, you know, those options. Like, is it just a pine box or what?
Right.
And he got back to me right away, and he's like, wow, you made it look like I've done some things.
Right.
You know? and also like that links to him in a way where he's like, I feel like I haven't done my greatest work yet.
That's one of my favorite parts of that documentary, is that is like, that really resonates with me, that like you have to look at, you try to live in the present sometimes to notice and enjoy what you have done, because from someone's vantage point, you've made it. And from your vantage point, you still got a ways to go. And I think like, you look at someone like him and he still feels like, I haven't done the thing yet, and I'll stop. People probably stop working once they feel like they do. Or like, some people have the trap of they find early success and then they're, and then it's like, well, that's what the world wants from me. How do I want to go do something different, but like, this is the thing that people like, and they try to like recreate it.
From my perspective, I'm like, well, I'll never be Booty Brown,
right?
As an editor.
And then it's really heartening to hear from Booty Brown that like he still feels like he'll never be whatever, fill in the blank, like,
right. Yeah.
He's still striving. And I find comfort in that. And also, to me, it's like a reminder to take a look around and be excited about where you are and wherever that is. And like that someone's probably looking at you and saying, oh, I'll never be Kristen. You know what I mean? Like you have to look at because it is to be doing creative work and actually like getting creative work done is like a pretty amazing accomplishment these days. Especially in this country where we are, where if you don't make your rent, you're out on the street, and there's making your rent is not, it's a huge hustle just to make your rent. So like, to be doing creative work, I think is an accomplishment that is, worth being proud and thankful
for real. For. And like, as an add-on to that, like this, like, where we live isn't, art is considered like a hobby or something like cool on the side or something you do after work. If you go over to France and you're like, oh, I'm a filmmaker, they're like, huh? Like, they're very, like, they take it so seriously. They want to see your stuff right away,
Right.
And like they, like, I've always found that to be really interesting, that like, it's anytime it's like, I think I'm going to be an artist, and like mom and dad are like,
Yeah.
Sounds like we'll be taking care of you forever.
Well, the world is so job oriented, but we specifically are so job oriented.
But like Booty Brown with hip hop, me with editing, you with animating, just to bring this whole thing for full circle and to tie it back into what we just watched, it's become apparent to me that a lot of this is it's all about, it's working out a muscle. You're flexing a muscle. I mean, if you are 400 pounds and you go to the gym and you by the end of the week you want to have a six-pack, like, you're going to give up, because no way in hell, right? It's like,
right.
It's not going to happen like that for you. And so many other factors, play into how your body's going to look by the end of 1 month, 6 months, a year, 5 years. But if you keep at it, like, that's what I love about art. And it's like the same thing with singing. It's a muscle, and like, well, yes, there's some talent out there. There's some people that just sort of seem to have an easier time with it, or they've got some stroke of luck, or somebody like gave them a lift, you know what I mean? Like, right. In some way to make them climb this ladder of success, which apparently has like no end point, Yeah. But it is something that's like, if I want to do this bad enough, if I work at it and just create, just make a thing and then make another thing, and allow yourself to be critical of the thing that you're making, but not so critical that it prevents you from making another thing, right?
Right.
Like, if you just let yourself train that muscle, you will start to find not just some success, but your own way of doing it. That's like creatively your signature, like your own voice and all that stuff.
Maybe even like part of what you need to nurture is the thing that lets you get the thing done. So like have that be a voice that you listen to as you're working on things, where you're like, whatever the energy that's actually getting me to do the creative thing and to finish the creative thing is the energy that I cultivate and protect. And like, if there's other energies coming in that are counter to that, those are the ones that I need to kind of like push away. Like, as far as when you're saying like being able to criticize, but not criticize to the point of like cancellation, so like, in just like if you were taking on a sport or like another activity that practice is like an accepted part of, with creativity, like, so if you're doing, dance or yoga or something, and people are saying, listen to your body, then maybe this is like, listen to your instincts, and when you see something that you feel like, oh, this is gonna like, this thing, whatever it is gonna stop me, then I need to not go there. This thing's going to keep me going. I need to do more. I need to double down on that,
Yeah.
And it's going to be different for everybody too.
Yeah.
Like, some people really love, most illustrators kind of draw in a, like a really rough sketch, and then they do in a different line weight or color, they refine, and then they do another refinement, and they zero in on the thing. And then some people, draw like in a final way, and they kind of move their way across the page, just fully detailed, fully finished, and like, either way is fine, and both ways do something different at the end of it, so like they're both worth, one's not better than the other, but like, obviously the if you do it one way versus the other way, it's probably because that's the thing that like pulls you forward on that.
And not to mention every drawing that gets made, every thing that gets animated, every new project, new thing that comes along, like, it's always going to be different, even if you are 30 years in, on your experience of like of what you do. It's always going to be different. There's going to be like a new series of problems to solve. And which brings me to my next point about that couple is like, I would be willing to bet that part of what draws them in, and I think what draws a lot of animators and probably editors and people across a wide spectrum of industries, is the ability to, and it doesn't always happen, but I think it's what we crave, is this like aspect where you surprise yourself, right? Something happens and you're like, well, I wasn't expecting that. And it's either better than what I had originally planned, or, or like, and that can be like maybe the idea itself, or just like it just turned out better than like what you started with. And like, and that I think can be so much of a saving grace, right? From when, and those moments always seem to happen too, right? When you're like maybe on the brink of feeling like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I belong here.
Right.
Da, 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 da. And then suddenly there's like a little like miracle that happens. And then it can also happen like in this way where it's like, wow, I'm like you're just like, did anybody else see that?
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
did anybody else see how cool that was or whatever? And
I think the imposter syndrome can really take that and run with it, where like everyone who watches what you made gives you full credit, good or bad. They're watching this and they're like, you made this. Like there's like just these like artist delusions of or like myths of this of like creative people that they're like um they had this like so clear in their mind and they made this thing, and I'm like, so stupid and boring. Like who cares? Like why do we have to have this like god worship of creative people where like they have to be intentional or it didn't count, you know?
right.
And I think
Yeah.
so much of it is like you make a mistake or you make, and a mistake might just be defined as a deviation from your intention, right? But you then by reacting to that and being like, no, this is my intention now, and like following that down a path, that to me is like what that's like what art is like you know, the viewpoint or the taste of the person that's making it. That's their contribution. Like you think about like photography, I'm sure in the beginning of photography, artists, lots of artists were like, how is this art? Like it's like you're literally just pointing a thing at a thing. You don't have to do anything and it comes out looking like the thing. Like
Right. Right.
that's so easy.
Yeah.
And yet no one in the modern world would hesitate to think of photography as art, because we've all seen how like there's point a camera at something and it's nothing, and point a camera at something and it's moving, and like so what's the difference there aside from just someone being like reacting to the accidents of the universe and being like, I like this, I don't like this. Oh wow, when I exposed it this was darker and now it really this whatever. I'm not explaining the like the process of it very well, but
Yeah.
like it just like um I think that the exact thing that you're describing, that's maybe like one of the most magical parts, is also like it's important for creators to like uh take credit for that and don't have that add to your list of reasons why maybe you're not good enough at this thing because you didn't, because nobody, I guess what it is like seeing that everyone had those accidents and that's what made their work great. Like that, like you know, you like to think of like, you know, Kubrick did everything intentionally, so every speck of everything that's on the screen is his intention. So anything, which is ridiculous. Obviously, there were unexpected eventualities, and it's the decision to keep them that makes them part of the film. And like, and I guess also like that you don't have to be Stanley Kubrick or Alexandre Alexeieff to be to for your to be worthy of working or for your work to have value. Like it doesn't have to be the greatest ever in history to be worth doing or to be worth something to somebody else. Like we've talked about this a bunch of just that idea that like I just want to be that 7-inch that really meant something to that 16-year-old kid, you know, and like if I'm a couple of those 7 inches to a couple of those 16-year-old kids, you know, like they got that record, they played it out until the grooves were too deep in the vinyl to listen to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like that holds so much more meaning for me than, oh, this director got into the Hall of Fame, you know, like and I think that the thing that appeals to the masses will never be that thing for that kid, because it has to be something that's like a little bit more under the radar and focused towards them, and then that kid feels like they want to take ownership of that thing because it's like this means so much to them,
Yeah, for sure. And I want to say like part of that for me in terms of like doing like Flannel Donut, this crazy little thing that we have going on called Flannel Donut, is that like two things. I really love writing and coming up with ideas, and like whether it's very, very short shorts or longer stuff or mixed media or whatever. And I love that I have like an idea of what it could look like or be in my mind. And then I just like sort of vomit that out to you. And you're like, okay, I feel like you're able to take the stuff that matters and make it into like a legible, workable thing,
Mm-hmm.
And I love that part about what we do at Flannel Donut, because it can be like, because to me that it makes or breaks whether something gets made. I have ideas all day long, and because I don't have a full like, I don't have the skill set to like, direct. We already discussed that. Zero like desire to direct, which may be unusual to some people, but I don't want to direct. But I, just to be able to then take an idea and move it into action is something that is so scary to me. I'd almost rather put it in someone else's hands.
Sure.
Maybe that'll change. Maybe it's just a temporary like confidence thing, but that's so it's that part for Flintstone, and the other part like around what you were saying, meaning like I want to be something to that 16-year-old kid or a handful of 16-year-old kids. Like I want to make that. It doesn't have to go viral. It doesn't have to make us millions. I want to be able to make something that funds the next thing. And I want to be able to take all of this wild and incredible talent that we have in our city. And be able to support like the creative pursuit, beyond commercial stuff.
And I think like just to add to that, because I think that's where in our Venn diagram that's where we overlap, is that because I want this for myself, but I also want it for other people. And I think you're in that same boat where it's like you have projects where you want a place for these projects to live, but also projects like these projects to live, and I think like part of Flannel Donut is this pursuit of an ecosystem that can support things that are not for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, we don't live in some European country where there's a film board with a ton of grant money that supports just animation as art, and or puppet films as art, or films as art, and so I think a big part of the dream is like this little Portland chapter of a thing where the things can support the next things, and there's an audience to watch work that is not that can't survive a pitch session. You know what I mean? Like you can't do anything unless that thing can make money for something else. That's the whole reason things get made. And so it really starts to be disheartening when you're like, well, I want to make this depressing film about how it's going to be the end of the world, that people want perfection out of information. And who could I sell that to? Like nobody. And not only who could I sell that to, but who could like like Jon Favreau, who could he sell that to? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the people that have the people in the room that have these warm audiences that want to support their ideas, if they were pitching that idea of like, if I took any Svenkmeyer film, and we'll do Svenkmeyer on another, maybe that might be a really good Musée one. But like Jan Svenkmeyer is this like crazy surrealist Czechoslovakian filmmaker, huge, like just very well known, huge impact on cinema. And you look at those films and you're like, nothing about these films could get pitched to anybody with money in our system. So how do I get to do this work? And I feel like this is what we're after, is like being able to have a system that's like, definitely there's people out there that love and appreciate this work. Maybe they're not everybody. Maybe they're not people with their Disney Plus subscription, you know?
Right. I do think that the people in that system are the audience that wants to see things that are almost like handcrafted for them. Because that's like, that'll be their perception, I think.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, and we've had this conversation a bunch of times too, where it's like, when we grew up, there were movies that were made on very small budgets that were not, like you say, they're not made for, it's not like the Marvel type thing where it's made something for everybody that turns out not being for anybody at all. You know, it's like, these are, smaller films that our audience will watch because there's a process involved that they're a part of and enjoy that. And then there's also just such little of this in the space that we're in that they're, very much excited to see, whatever it is.
Right.
So whether it's dark or funny or abstract, like they're excited about it. So that's, that much is great. The fact that they're not, the average person in that audience isn't going to be like, so when are we selling this to Netflix? They're they're like, obviously that would excite them because it just means that, in a lot of people's minds, not mine, but in a lot of people's minds, it means that now has more value because Netflix wants it, but like, for the most part, it's like we get to make stuff in this space that like, and we get to make it our way, and like, what a beautiful environment to be in. You also can go back to those days of like, wow, I found this random, movie in this old, like, Movie Madness, movie house or whatever. And like, never heard of it before. I never saw it. No one's, I've never blah, 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 whatever. The list goes on of nevers. And like, now that I've found it, I'm sharing it with everybody. I'm like, you have to make this movie, so it's like
the first thing you want to do is you want to go make, you get that 7-inch and it's going on a mixtape that you're going to go send to a bunch of your friends because now it's yours. And now you want to, like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like this, it's like getting to play some animation for you is like I'm excited about all these animation baseball cards that I've collected over the years, and I want to like show them off to my friends, and talk a little bit about like why they're meaningful to me, or show them off and be like, what do you think? How did that, does this matter to you?
And also like what, like, I just think it's also interesting, and I don't know if I'll ever get to the bottom of like answering this, but it's just like, why do you like it? Like, there's so many, I think, unspoken things that like you can't fully describe why you, and that's the coolest part, when you can't fully describe why you like something, you know? And I feel that way about music. Like there's sometimes I'm like, I think about this a lot when I'm just like, what makes some music really good and other music really bad to like a variety of people? Like how come some people, like, I can't stand country music. Like, I don't play anything like that for me ever.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, but I live in an area where they sure do love it. And
Yeah.
it just,
And maybe only that. And maybe
yeah.
that's like that's the holy grail to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like,
And I think that that's
ow.
yeah, that always, that like sends me back to like, whatever your taste, I'm not out to stop country music from being made. I just want punk music to still be made. Like, I
Yeah.
just want, like, I'm not willing to give up on punk music being made, you know, like,
For sure.
so like, I, like, Marvel movies, bring them on. I don't care. Make as many Marvel movies as you want to make. I just, I don't accept that we can't also have Svankmajer movies. You know?
Yeah. We were talking earlier about like struggling to watch your own stuff, and then about like, you know, just about like creating different things. So it's like, if we were to, like, I don't know how long it took you to make The Machine, but it was one of your first early things that you did independently, right? No, Lever Puller was first.
No, The Machine was first.
Okay.
No, well, they all overlap. So like, a lot of it's like start and stop too. Like, I think social media has allowed me the illusion that I'm just always putting stuff out, but so much stuff is like, it starts and then it gets shelved for 8 years and then it gets dusted off. So like with The Machine, I started it in like 2002 or 3. I like wrote the script and then I started designing it and I started making it, and then I didn't like how it was looking and I had to work, and so it got shelved. And then I got more excited about the lever puller idea. So then around 2003, I started working on the lever puller and I got it pretty close. And then I really didn't like how that one was looking or coming together. So I put that away. And then with The Machine, I knew I had a young kid and they were going away for like a long weekend or something. And I was like, all right, I'm going to animate, like, and I'm very optimistic. So I was like, I'm going to animate this thing like in a weekend. I'm just going to not sleep and just bang it out. So I remade the puppet, or all the puppets, and then started shooting it like leading up to this like long weekend, and then started shooting it and definitely didn't get through it in a weekend, but like, so it was maybe like a year, I would say probably a year between shooting and comping it and all that stuff. And then I came back to the lever puller and I finished the lever puller up. And then
So then you reopened wherever your stopping point with lever puller, you opened it back up and you continued on it, or did you like start it over again because you were dissatisfied, right, with how?
Yeah, no, I just continued on it because because when I came back to it, I was kind of like, listen, I just need to wrap this up, like, because I don't like those unfinished things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
At some point we'll have a friend of mine on and I'll tell you my Super 8 feature story, because that I feel like is the ultimate start and stop story. But yeah, I think I just was like, and I'm still like, I like the lever puller, to me, like the animation is atrocious, but like I didn't go back into the animation files. I just kept trying to like fix it in comp and add stuff to it to make it work. So like, yeah, that one I definitely didn't start over. The Machine I almost started over because I hated the puppet so much that I like remade the puppet.
Dang. Okay.
And I had some like new armature pieces, because that's the other thing is like stop motion is like, it's all these different disciplines when you're doing it by yourself, and engineer is one of them, and I am not a good engineer. And so like I made a puppet that like couldn't stand up, and also like at the same point I could barely move it. It could barely hold its own weight, and the wire in it was so tight I could barely move it. So it was like I just remade that with better pieces. Yeah. And then 2 bottles took me like 10 years all told. And it was a lot of start and stop. So
Well, and the reason why I feel like I know that is because there are, because I have your archive of.
Oh yeah. So the dates and the stuff.
Well, not just the dates, my friend, but like
Yeah.
your hair color is like.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, there's like pictures of you holding up the puppet, and I was like, wow, this one took a little bit.
Yeah. There's a lot more black in the beginning of the
But
movie.
hey, I got nothing to say about that. I have a documentary I've been working on for almost 10 years now, and then another one following that for probably 6 years. And the guy that documentary was about has died. It's like almost, it's like, do I keep going with it? Well, yeah, because the message is the most important part,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you stop and start these things because, I don't know. I think it's 2-part. I think one of them is like, yeah, you've got to like go and do some other things to like pay some bills maybe and stuff like that. But then the other side of it is like, it's kind of good to get a little bit of distance, because when you do go back to it, you're either able to say, all right, this is a this is a living hell. I need to start over. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know what? This actually wasn't that bad. I should just pick up right where I left off,
Yeah.
Or I just got to switch these things around, or there's always something in there. And I hate for myself when I go back to something that I held back and decided not to publish. I'm always like, God, that was good. That was pretty good. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah. And I think like I have limitless respect for anybody that finishes anything. Like I feel like that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
And you see it in so many talented people that where you're like they're like all these like started and unfinished sketches from these people that you're like, you're so good, like why can't you finish? And you realize like it's really hard to beat that voice out of your head. And if it's not hard to beat that voice out of your head, I question the value of the work that you're doing. If you're just like, it's easy, I just fucking put in one end of the thing and get the thing out the other end of the thing and it's done.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, then I don't know, like,
yeah,
that's probably fine. But we're hoping to get some of the residue of you into your work. And so for that to happen, the work's got to really grind in all of your gears so that it's picking up some of that residue. Because otherwise, if it's going in and out smooth, like how much of you is it taking with it?
Yeah, we actually, and maybe we don't believe it because you didn't bleed enough.
Right. I mean, and I don't think, and it doesn't have to be super painful suffering, but I do think it has to be work. I don't think it can just be play. Or like maybe for someone else play works, but like in the things that I enjoy, I don't believe that those things were made with just pure play. I think that they're like, they take serious.
Well, I will say this. I made one video in my entire life that was incredibly easy to make. The thing almost came together by itself. I mean, I felt like at times like something else was like in the seat, making it. This video went viral. It had 6 million views in 24 hours. I got tens of thousands of followers from it. It had praise from celebrities and everything, and I got nominated for a Webby. I'm telling you, you would think that as the person behind the magic of that happening. And I edited probably, I think 72 hours. I did not sleep very much at all. So it took me about 72 hours to start to finish, from like idea to publishing.
Yep.
And you'd think that like being the magician or whatever, like behind that kind of a thing, you would be like celebrating and excited about it. But it was the worst feeling ever because all I could think about was, oh my God, what's next?
Right.
I have all these people now that are like cheering on that work, that love it so much, and they shared it so much, and there's comments on that thing I'll never ever be able to get to the bottom of the comment section and read.
Mm-hmm.
And like, my God, what do I do next so that it's, and like, will it ever be as good? I mean, it was terrible.
Right.
It was the
Yeah,
worst
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah.
so that's the other side of it. If you do put something in the machine and it comes out like a real gem on the other side, you'll never be able to fucking do that again.
I also think that like the ease of that situation is because of work, lots of work from before that situation. Like, I don't think, I don't think that was probably nearly as easy as you experienced it as. I think
Yeah,
like the work was just, you did the work ahead of time.
for sure. It's years of editing and hating myself that like through the stuff that I made and
Yeah,
just never
because
felt
you do,
yeah.
when you get that inspiration, sometimes when you chase that inspiration, it can take you, in this case, like all the way through. But that's the hallmark of that inspiration is like, I didn't sleep for 72 hours, and you were trying to hold on tight to a thing that was moving,
Yeah, yeah.